Good morning, Year 2s, and welcome to this week's GPS lesson all about sentence types. There are 4 basic sentence types in the English language, and I wonder if you can name some of them. Pause the video here and have a little bit of thinking time, then come back and join me. So, you may have said statements, and these are things that just tell you a piece of information, like my name is Winnie the Pooh. Then we have questions like, what is your name? That is where you've got a question word at the start. It often requires an answer and you've got a question mark as your punctuation. Then you've got commands. They're the ones you've been looking at for instruction writing before half term. And that's when you're being quite bossy. You're telling someone to do something. So get me some honey. And then you've got exclamations. And these are sentences that often start with what and how. So you've got what an amazing friend you have, and you'll notice there you've got an exclamation mark at the end. Today, we're just going to focus on statements. Now, what are statements? Statements are the most common type of sentence, so you would have written lots of these in your writing already. Statements give information or state something. And statements can be very simple or they can be more complicated. So here we have a picture of some children playing in the park. And I want you to have a look at it and think about some statements you could tell me about that picture. Pause the video here and just have a think about ones you might be able to create. So you may have put, the girl is throwing a ball. The lady is sitting on a bench, reading a book. The little girl is carefully picking some red flowers and putting them in a basket. And you can see there that the first sentence started off as quite a simple sentence, and that last one is a lot more complicated. I've got carefully in there, which is an adverb. I've got red in there, which is an adjective. And I've also got and, which is a conjunction. So you can make your sentences more complicated and add more detail for the reader. And as you go through Year 2, that's what we're starting to expect. So when we're going to write these statements, what do we need to remember to do? Here's one that we were looking at just a moment ago. The lady is sitting on a bench reading a book. Have a look at that. Which success criteria do I need to follow in order to write successful statements? Pause the video here and have a think, then come back. See you in a minute. So how did you get on? Hopefully you noticed that each of these statements begin with a capital letter. And you'll notice that for a statement, you need the punctuation mark of a full stop. So at the end of every statement, you must put a full stop. And don't forget your finger spaces. That allows the reader to see where one word finishes and another word starts, and is really important for people to be able to read your work back. So they're the main things we're looking for. And obviously, the more complicated your sentence, you might include some other things later on. So it's now time for you to have a little challenge. You're going to pick one of the pictures below and you're going to write some statements about it. So on the left, we have a beach scene, and on the right, we have a garden scene with a tree house. So pause the video here, get yourself a piece of paper and a pencil and see how many statements you can write which go with these pictures. And when you're writing those statements, don't forget what we've said we need to include. We want every sentence to start with a capital letter. We want every statement to finish with a full stop, and you must remember those finger spaces. Join me again shortly and I'll show you some examples that I've written. See you later. So now we're going to have a go at looking at the sentences that you could have written. The first picture is the beach picture. So we could write, remembering to start with our capital letters, the sun is shining. Now that's got the ing suffix on the end, and that's what we've done in our previous lessons. So shine ends in an E. So I'm going to take the E off and then add my ing suffix. Shining in the sky. So I've got my capital letter at the start. I've made sure I've got my clear finger spaces in between every word, and I've got my full stop at the end. We could have the boy is building, and there's my ing suffix again from previous learning, a sandcastle. And then what do I need at the end? That's right, I need my full stop to show that's the end of one sentence. And another example could be the, capital letter, crab is slowly, what's that an example of? That's right, an adverb, because it's got that ly suffix on the end, hasn't it? Slowly walking. There's walk. Add my ing suffix. Walking across the hot sand. And yep, there's my full stop. And then what's hot an example of? That's right, it's an adjective. It's describing the noun sand, isn't it? So we can bring you all that learning in that we've done before. Now let's have a look at that second picture of the children in the garden. We could have the dog is chasing. Now chase is another example of a verb that ends in an E. So I'll take that off and then add my ing suffix. Is chasing the ball. And I've remembered my full stop as well. The next one, the children. Now that is a red word and it's a year 2 spelling word. Children. Now because there's more than one of them, I need are reading their, you've done the correct there recently, haven't you? Their books. And there's more than one, so I need an S on the end before my full stop. And a final example of a sentence we could write, a statement we could write, is the squirrel, what's the L on the end of squirrel, is sitting. Now that's got that short vowel sound in it, hasn't it? So I've got to double up last consonant first before adding my ing suffix. Is sitting on top of the wooden house. Full stop. And there's another example of an adjective. Good, it's describing the house. So there are some examples that you could have written statements for those pictures. So I hope you've enjoyed today's lesson all about statements. These are the most common type of sentences and you're writing them all the time in your learning. Whether it's history, science, English, you need to remember those statement rules. Capital letters and full stops, and don't forget those finger spaces. I'll see you again soon. Bye.